Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the FSC NEA Fieldwork Conference we've put together for you today. I'd like to say a massive thank you to everybody for coming along on a Saturday and supporting the event, and we hope that you get a lot out of it today. I'm just going to share my screen with you so that there are some bits and pieces that I will be sharing with you throughout this morning session. Okay, so we're also very thankful today to the GA and to OCR for supporting this event, and without their support, obviously, things are very difficult, and actually it's been so fantastic to have their help with today, and they're also involved with running some of those sessions this morning and this afternoon, so you'll see those as we go through the different streams, and there'll be more about that as we carry on. As we go through the day as well, then we'll also have the opportunity where you can please tweet. So as we go through, we've got a hashtag which is FSC_FW for Fieldwork Conference 2020. So that will be shared in the different Adobe Connect rooms as we go through the day as well. But if you can at any point tweet and share your thoughts and suggestions and that sort of thing, that would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, so we have a number of great speakers to talk with us today, and they include Katie Hall from Esri, we have Emma Peasland from the University of Hull, we have Shelley Monk from OCR, Dr. Becky Kitchen and Alan Kinder will be running sessions for us from the GA. Simon Holland from Bilborough College, and also from FSC we have Robin Landy, Janine Madison and Dave Morgan. So a huge thank you to all of them for their support in today's event, and we hope you'll have great interactive sessions with all of them later on today. I also want to say a big thank you to the FSC education team who worked a lot of hours to make sure that the event today is put together with all the different speakers, but also all the background setting up of Adobe Connect and running a conference in quite different times. So it's hopefully an event that we've never done before virtually, but hopefully bear with us and hopefully it will run very smoothly as we go through today. In this first session, we wanted to this morning talk to some students who've been through the Geography NEA. These students are going to share some of their reflections on the outdoors and independent research work, but at the beginning of the day we felt it was really important, as these are very powerful, as these young people have had experience of the NEA and have seen the real benefits of doing that, and also in their studies moving on as they've progressed after their A-levels. It's also made me reflect a bit on my previous geography studies, going back a little while now, but actually it made me think about actually when I did my independent research project, how that has benefited me going through. When I studied for my GCSEs, I had the opportunity to go to study the coasts at Berlin Gap and the Seven Sisters, and also to go to the River Cuckmere, just between Eastbourne and Seaford. And actually these memories of going on these fieldwork experiences are still in my mind very clearly today, and I've still got the notes of all the trips and I can remember them very clearly, even getting on the coach and going from school and doing all the different things that we did there, and even having lunch is still a vivid memory. And it was actually after doing those fieldwork experiences that in our GCSE we had to write a significant research project. At that point it was worth 20% of the GCSE, and I was working on farmland in the local area that was at that point going through quite a lot of housing development and new roads and bypasses. And I remember interviewing local farmers, running questionnaires, annotated photographs, writing to what was math in the day, now DEFRA. But what that gave me was an opportunity to look at a topic in depth and take ownership of that. I was really proud of that piece of work, and actually I still have it today. And those skills I gained actually informed my future studies and my career, which I still think is relevant to what I do now. And therefore I'm a very strong advocate of the NEA, because I can actually see the real benefits of what it gives to a number of students that take part in that. There are complexities with the NEA, and it is also can be very challenging, and no more so than in 2020, where actually we have exceptionally even more strange circumstances with the COVID pandemic. So how do students get the skills that they need? What support is there for teachers and students? And how can we actually carry out a lot of these projects with the current restrictions that we've got going on? So today we're hosting this conference with these fantastic speakers to try and support teachers with their students who will be doing their NEA studies this summer and through the autumn of 2020. And throughout today, we've got two pathways, and on those pathways, you will be taking part in those sessions, but the other pathway will be recorded as we go through, and all of those will be available to everybody after this sessions have all finished today. We also will tell you some more information at the end of the day, so we'll carry on and with the session now, but just to let you know that next week we have a number of student workshops. So these are targeted at students on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday next week that will be going out through the FSC YouTube channel, focusing on the various skills that students will need to run their NEA assessments and their pieces of work this summer. So again, like I said, there'll be more information on that later, but they're there also to support as we go forward. So I'd first of all like to introduce you to Tilly Ring, who is a student at Bilborough College, and she's actually going to give us a short presentation on the NEA that she did and her experiences of the outdoors and nature, her research, and how it's benefited her from now. Well, as we go through this presentation, if you've got any questions that you would like to ask Tilly at the end of that, then please put them in the chat function, and we will pick those up as we go through. But I will hand over to Tilly.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see that? Is that sharing, Simon? You're muted at the moment.
So you just need to enlarge your screen so that you go to the presentation mode.
Perfect, thank you.
There we go.
So yeah, as Simon said, I'm a student was a student at Bilborough College, but this is just a brief review of my NEA experience and then why I went on to choose geography at university. So yes, I'm an ex-Bilborough College student. I studied geography, politics and English, and I left in 2019, so I'm quite new to uni. I'm only in my first year, and I really enjoyed geography at A-level, and I chose in year 12 to apply to study geography, and then with the support of Bilborough, I was lucky enough to get all of my offers to study geography, and I'm now studying at the University of Cambridge. I've just completed my first year virtually, so that's had its own challenges through moving things online that ordinarily would be in person, and thinking about fieldwork next year, because we're in exactly the same position that we are not in the position to offer in-person fieldwork, which is opening up a whole new opportunity for remote sensing and online forums for questionnaires and things like that. So it's challenging, but it is exciting as well. So fieldwork at A-level, and this is just sort of what I've taken away from it. So I've obviously, as most people will be aware, fieldwork is a really integral part to geography, and it really does form the backbone of the geographical knowledge that you'll take away from the subject. A-level fieldwork was so important because I think more so than GCSE, I had a chance to really explore some of the theories that I was learning about in the classroom, and put them into a real world context, because as much as case studies are helpful, they don't always help flesh out some of those imperfections with certain theoretical ideas. So when we were learning about sustainability frameworks and why economic, social and environmental needs might not all be able to be met, when we're in person and actually in the field seeing these playoffs work live, it just gives you a completely different sense of perspective. So yeah, fieldwork is really exciting, and although it should always begin with a clear plan, of course, I think what's really exciting about it is that you can respond to new discoveries that you find in the field, and I think A-level's really given me the tools to be able to do that. So now when I do fieldwork as part of my degree, I'm able to kind of think on my feet a little bit more, and I think that's really down to the skills that I learned at FSC, which meant that I had these tools to record and understand the information I was finding in the field. Aside from this, I found fieldwork a really amazing opportunity to see a place in the UK that I'd never seen before. I'd never been to Shropshire, and I think there's a lot of amazing UK scenery that often on fieldwork people see for the first time. So yeah, I feel really lucky for that. So my experience, as I've mentioned, I conducted my NEA on Church Stretton, which is a really small town near the Cardingmill Valley in Shropshire, which is close to the FSC Fieldwork Centre, which was a really amazing experience. I was able to conduct interviews, questionnaires for tourists, business owners, and I even managed to have extended interview with a local councillor, and they gave me all really different perspectives on a specific issue facing the local community and how tourism was being handled. So I was lucky enough to do my work, as I said, with FSC, and they really encouraged us to have a practice session where we went into the field, did a few practice questionnaires, saw the response, and then you can respond and tailor the way that you're collecting information to how people have already responded. So I think for me it was really important, because I didn't have a lot of experience giving questionnaires. It was really vital to be able to have that little practice, and also respond to the things I was finding. I think that helped keep it interesting. The fact that I heard that a bank had closed down, and then I was able to kind of maybe include more questions about services in my second day of fieldwork collection. So yeah, that's something I'd really encourage. And while at the Fieldwork Centre, we also learn a lot about different skills in terms of methodology of how we should collect information, and how safely to store it, respecting privacy and making sure that all of the information we were collecting was useful, that we weren't just asking questions willy-nilly. So that was really helpful. So after my visit to Church Stretton, I had a lot of time to reflect while writing my NEA on the national and global picture. So understanding the global in the local, and I think that's something that geography does really well, helping you find those connections. I think global themes that I picked up on were issues of decline in British tourism, the loss of the staycation, but then also, you know, now it would be really interesting to go back and think, have they been inundated with tourists given COVID-19? How's that affecting such a small area? And is that representative of lots of rural towns in the country at large? So that was what was really exciting. I think when I was drawing from literature, it was my first kind of dabble in academic literature. And I think the NEA gives you a lot of freedom to explore what you enjoy about the course. So yes, how has the geography A-level NEA and fieldwork experience helped me? So I think in terms of transferable skills, which I know is a bit of a buzzword, it's really helped me with my time management skills and my independence as a student. At university, whether you're conducting another piece of field work or just written work, or just making sure that you balance all your commitments on time management is the most important thing. And even if university isn't for you, they really stand you in good stead for all aspects of life. I think also something specific about fieldwork with FSC was that it encouraged me to think critically about what I was doing and why I was doing it at every stage of the planning of the fieldwork, but also think creatively. There was a real encouragement to bring what we were interested in to the fieldwork, and I think having that kind of freedom is really amazing. So for me, I was interested in tourism. For other people, they were interested in issues of ethnicity and identity or transport. Someone walked the length of a bus route in Telford, and that was their field work. And I think having the ability to do such a diverse range of things is amazing. Equally, physical geographers, we're doing all sorts of things with soil and infiltration rates, which is completely different, but I think geography can really accommodate all of those different preferences. And it's something that, funnily, for my first piece of coursework at university, I was doing the same skills with the making silty loam soil models and things like that, which was quite funny and felt very circular. As well, the process of writing an NEA is, as I'm sure a lot of people are aware, very like a mini dissertation, which really helped me when I'm now coming to write academic work. And yes, independently writing a piece of coursework is really challenging, but because you do have that support from teachers and, for me, FSC, I really had those frameworks to kind of put in the information that I was wanting to get across. And yeah, it can really help boost your confidence and your transferable skills, so teamwork, leadership, resilience, and these are skills that will be with you for life. So yeah, why is geography so great, and connection to fieldwork, but also more broadly? So the skills that you learn in geography, of course, help you with inquiry at all levels. So for me, it was a very, very small scale English town. But I think when you look at something like the climate crisis, obviously you need to look at a bigger scale and you need to have the tools to be able to do that. But it can also be quite overwhelming. So I think seeing things in terms of scientific inquiry, seeing things in terms of how is that information being collected and how is it being presented to me, I think has really helped me in making sense of the news and thinking twice about some of the statistics perhaps that are being presented, or delving a little bit deeper, because as we all know, fake news is a threat to this kind of understanding, and I think studying geography can really help combat that. Because we do work to understand natural environment, sustainability and global governance, with related to issues like climate change, we are really well placed, I think, to think about those things. And the skills that are being used to research those issues are the same skills that you'll be developing in fieldwork at GCSE, A-level and beyond. So it's really exciting and encouraging to be part of a generation that's really seeming to care about these things. And yeah, as I've got a few pictures of the Fridays for Future movement, I think it just shows the relevance of geography for everyone and the lives of future generations as well. So thank you. And yeah, any questions? That was, I think there's a chat, which I believe.
There is, yeah. Thank you so much. Actually, you can take your screen down now, and then there are a couple of questions for you. So, so I've got one question here, which was, Tilly, did you use any visual organisers to help you explore the connections between the local, national and global, a way to help you organise your ideas to develop your extended writing?
Wow, I wish I did. That sounds really, really interesting. No, I didn't. I was probably not as tech savvy as I am now. I mainly did all my planning on paper, just because I'm quite, I was at the time quite comfortable with that. But I did really map out, I remember thinking about all these connections and drawing them in, especially with, like you say, the different levels of administration. I think for me, I was looking a lot at policy. And I think when you can visualise the way policies interact between the local council, the town council, the national government, and seeing how all those bodies interact administratively, I definitely needed to draw that out to see which one came over the other, because they are so complicated. And unreasonably so. But yes, I did mainly on paper, but I think for my final presentation, I had similar to as I had on my slides, which was the 3 maps that showed you where Church Stretton was and trying to contextualise the issues it might be facing.
Great. I've got another question here, which was, what do you think was the most useful part of the NEA process in preparing you for university geography studies so far? Is it a specific skill or more about confidence?
Ooh, I think for me, I think think it is some of the specific skills actually. As I mentioned, I did a human geography dominated NEA, but my first bit of field work that I was doing at A-level, degree level, was physical geography, and that's pretty much all of the field work I've been exposed to so far. And I think, like you say, it is about the confidence, but it's also some of those skills that I picked up from talking to other people who were doing different NEAs. We were also given training at the Fieldwork Centre for all kinds of inquiry, no matter what we were interested in. So I did learn things about sampling and how to record data correctly, things about anomalies, things about outliers and statistics as well, how to interpret your data correctly. And I think those were really useful to have a base of knowledge when I was going further. When you come to use things like statistical software, learning how to do it on paper is a lot easier to then bring to the next level. So it sounds scary, but yeah, I was really grateful for those skills.
Excellent. I've got another one here. Is there one piece of advice your teachers gave you which you found invaluable when completing your NEA, or top tips for each stage of the NEA?
Ooh, I think pick something that's interesting to you from the beginning. Don't try and think, oh, this will be easy, or oh, this will be straightforward. I'll just do this, this, and this, and then it'll be done. Because I think having something that you're genuinely interested in will mean that the whole process is just so much more exciting and engaging. So do maybe try and think outside of the box a little bit with the questions that you're thinking. And yeah, if you can pick something that is interesting to you or relevant to you in your daily life, or something you've noticed before, I think that'd be brilliant. Yeah. And I think I had lots of really good advice from my A-level teachers, who I think you're hearing from later, Simon Holland. But I had lots of really, really great advice. And I think some of that was making sure that you keep focused on the question, keep focused on your line of inquiry, but also don't be afraid to draw in things from wider context, global context that really connect your place to where it sits in the world.
Right. I've got time for one more. So I've got, in your NEA, did you use any unique data presentation techniques, considering it was a human topic NEA?
Yeah, I don't know how unique it is, but I did, like you say, annotated pictures. I did some land use maps. I had a coded interview that I kind of wrote out. I also did have a graphic of some kind of government structures and how policies were interacting with non-governmental organisations, just to kind of visualise it for the reader. And had a word cloud as well, which I don't know how novel that is, but when you have questionnaires that have been filled in, you can sometimes ask people what words they would use to describe the area. So I put in all of the words that tourists and locals use to describe the areas, and I compared the commonly used words through word clouds, which were quite pretty, which I quite liked having on my presentation, even if they weren't perhaps the most useful. But I think depending on your question, those things could be really vital.
Yeah. Excellent. That's really good. Yeah, and yeah, lots of text coding and that sort of stuff can get quite in depth. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. That's brilliant. And yeah, thank you for your time today. I think it's really clear that the NEA was really important to you, and I'm sure that's the same for a large number of students. And I think you picked up there again, you're currently going through in your studies, as many students doing the NEAs now, as this difficulty of how you do field work in a COVID year.
Yeah.
So that's I think going to be a topic throughout the day. Okay, so before we go on to our second student, as the COVID pandemic hit the UK, FSC obviously did a lot of work trying to think about how we could support teachers in schools, and as part of that, we were looking at how we could, as we saw the potential approach of a lockdown coming, how we could support teachers. And so actually that is when we started discussions with our partners at Encounter EDU, who basically helped us formulate the ideas and the plans for Fieldwork Live. And as we had the Fieldwork Live sessions, and as we started playing and doing that, then obviously we had to change our plans as the exams were cancelled, and then we looked at a bigger range of topics. In the end, we ran Fieldwork Live for up to 438,000 students from over 3,000 schools across the world, and these sessions gave us a really new way of working with a whole range of new people and people who'd already used FSC. And so this was really positive feedback, and through that fieldwork live experience and through teacher training sessions as well that we did on that, we worked with over 700 PGC students and new teachers. So digital fieldwork is something that we really think have been wanting to do for a long time, but it's actually something that is actually we want to build on more, and actually we see is going to be part of an integral relationship with doing fieldwork live in the field, and so it's going to be wrapping around in the future. And I think there's a really big beneficial impact of going outside, of the experience of doing something in real, and actually building up skills that you wouldn't normally have, but also for physical and mental well-being, and gaining skills such as leadership and teamwork. And so what we see is the digital offer that we have is something that will wrap around this to introduce this in a lot more detail and to follow up in a lot more detail. And we know every school is different in the way that they're going to be doing that, but also we know that this autumn there's going to be some real challenges with fieldwork and getting out. And we know that a lot of schools are hoping that they'll be able to come out on fieldwork, and we're talking to a number of teachers who are really hoping to get out and do fieldwork this autumn. But also we know that some schools may have difficulties with that. So we, again, in the last session today, we'll talk a bit more about it, but there will be, we've been working hard behind the scenes to pull together a number of digital and outreach and blended learning opportunities for schools across the UK. We're going to set up new fieldwork hubs in some of the more populated areas that are further away from our centres, and also offer the chances for our tutors to come into schools and do things as well. So there'll be more on that later, and over the coming few weeks there'll be some more information. Okay, our second student today is unfortunately not able to with us. Charlotte Parish is actually a key worker at the moment, so and she has to work, so unfortunately she can't be here, but she has pre-recorded her presentation for us, and so we're going to share that with you now. So
hi, I'm Charlotte and I've just left college. I studied A-levels in law, geography and history, and I'm hoping to go and study geography at university, depending on the results they will see. But I'm just going to quickly talk to you about my experience with the FSC. I've been there twice now, once with my college for my NEA field trip, and the second time was the summer in between year 12 and year 13 for a Royal Geographical Society summer school, which was really, really good, but I'm going to mainly focus on the first experience for my NEA. So the first slide is all about independence. I think by completing the NEA, I could really drive my geographical thinking into my own personalised direction, as long as it followed the A-level specification. And this meant that I could take geography outside the classroom and discover it for myself. I think quite a few people, when they were on the trip, I think maybe geography wasn't their first choice maybe for university. Maybe they wanted to do a different subject. But I think when they saw geography being applied to like different aspects of different studies, like perception, maybe that brought in a lot of psychology for me when I did that for my investigation. I think it opened up people's eyes to geography a lot more, and it actually inspired them to want to pick it as a subject, especially when you go through an independent investigation, which is sort of what you would do at university. It sort of took you through the steps of that, and I think it inspired quite a lot of people to like think about geography in a different way. I know I'll go on to talk about that in the second slide, because of some of the different data collection techniques I used, which changed my perception of geography. But I think in terms of independence, the most nerve-wracking thing was the public surveys that we carried out. We did have a lot of support from the tutors, because the day before we left the FSC centre, we left the FSC to go to Shrewsbury, which was near Telford, which is where we were going to carry out our surveys the next day, to just have a little, I guess, pretend survey where we would go and ask people different questions about the environmental quality. And that, I think that did boost my confidence for the next day, because I would have been quite scared, I think, otherwise, if I didn't have that support. That little like pretend data collection day, that really did help, and it gave us experience of what we got the next day, so we could really crack on and be efficient in our data collection, which was needed because we needed to get quite a lot of data. In terms of other new skills that I learned, this was the what I was going to talk about in terms of changing my perception of geography. The top left image is a app called a mood meter, and basically you just click on a different, so each different circle represents a different emotion, and at the start of each survey that I did, I actually, as a little icebreaker, this was quite a good technique, I think. I just asked people what mood they were in. It was quite bizarre, I think. Some people did like laugh in my face, but again, that did act as like a little icebreaker. I just asked them what they were feeling, and then later on I then add this into the ArcGIS app, which is a online geographical software, like mapping software. So then I could map different people's moods, and it's quite a new, like a new contemporary method in geography, which I know I'm going to try to use at university. So I guess I've learned that, and I also used it in my NEA, and I think this really helped my NEA stand out, because it's a different technique. I think if you use all the same techniques and all the, the same data representation, all the same bar charts, then you're not really like grasping the attention of the example, I don't think. So I think this really did help to stand out. And I think also going to the FSC, you do get access to a lot of good resources like these two books that I know that I use for my NEA, because these books usually would be really expensive. But because you're paying for the FSC experience, you also get to access these books for free throughout your stay at the FSC, which is really, really good, because you can just gain expertise, really, especially from the tutors as well. Because I remember what really helped me was, because I struggled with maths quite a lot. I didn't do particularly well at GCSE, but well enough to do geography. What helped me on the trip was that the tutors actually went through some stats workshops, which really built my confidence in stats, because I thought, you have to be like majorly clever to understand it, but then I could actually think about incorporating it into my NEA. But I think what was good about that was because my geography NEA was actually quite human based. Even then, I wasn't really going to include it that much because it wasn't really relevant to my NEA. I knew that in the future, if I wanted to include a stats test, and I'd actually know how to do it, so it just gave you a different outlook on it. And it actually interested me, maybe in my next investigation, maybe at university, to try and actually challenge myself and actually do maths. I know this actually, I remember the workshop at the FSC on my first trip did actually help with my second trip in the summer school, because we had to do a different investigation about water infiltration, and I knew what to do because it already had that workshop, so it does actually like stick in my head and really help. And the teachers stuck around afterwards as well to like make sure that we didn't do like last minute tips for the next day when we did the data collection. So it really did boost my confidence, because I think it can be quite nerve-wracking just going out and being thrown in the deep end and doing your own investigation, even though with your friends around you. You just want that reassurance from the tutors, and they really, really did provide me with that, so that's great. Going on to friendship as well then, it was really nice that the trip wasn't all just about work, like you did actually make loads and loads of friends. And I still talk to these friends now, like even though I hadn't spoken to them before my NEA, we actually supported each other through it, and we just worked alongside each other, physically not the same work, so that we could give each other that support when we were like carrying out our NEAs. And we played little like card games. You can see in the top left, we were all playing card games, and we just had a really great time. It was all sunny, and we made loads of friends, and it was just like, it was really uplifting, really. It was really nice. And I think that was mainly because we had sort of icebreakers from the teachers. So we weren't all just left, go and make friends. We actually had like little night activities, which was really, really nice. And it sort of made the, I think I did have quite a lot of preparation to do stuff before the night before my data collection. So I think having friends there did actually like help me get through it quite a lot. I think I would have struggled quite a bit without my friends like helping me through it. So that was really, really nice. I think on the last slide, I'm just going to talk about pride and how when you finish, well, I know when I finished the NEA, I just had a love of geography. I really, really wanted to go and get stuck into it even more and go and study at university, because you just feel so relieved and proud that you've actually worked your absolute hardest and you know that your NEA is going to be the best piece of work you could have produced, because you've not only pushed yourself, you've also had the resources from the FSC tutors and from your teachers and your friends, and you know that you've then got that bit of added confidence to go into the exam, because you've already got, hopefully, the majority of that 20%. So you know that if you work your hardest in the exam, you're going to come out with a really good grade. I think what would have boosted my confidence even more, even though I didn't actually have the exam, was that I actually won a competition for the NEA. So you can actually, I don't know if they're doing it next year, but the Geographers Association run this award for the NEA, and you just put in your title and explain what your NEA is about, what data collection you're going to do, analysis, that sort of thing. And I did my question on to what extent is there a relationship between age and the perceived success of the regeneration in Southwater. And to be honest, I didn't really think this question was that special until I won the award. I wasn't really expecting it, but that just raised my my feelings of pride even more, because I don't know, it sort of gave me a sense of, oh, I can actually do it. I actually did quite well. I'm like, oh, well done. So I don't know, the NEA experience just completely left me with a sense of inspiration and I guess like thirst to want to go on to do even more geography. So I'm really excited to go to university in a matter of months and study geography. I know that I've got this experience behind me. Like if I'm struggling at university, I'm like, wait, it's actually okay because you've already done an NEA during your A levels, so you can actually do it. And it will just, I think, give me that drive when I go to university, that bit more confidence. So I think that's it. So thank you very much.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much to Charlotte for her presentation, and apologies again that she wasn't able to be with us in person, but that was a fantastic presentation and some definite conversation in the YouTube channel there about some of the things that she was using. Okay, so we're very conscious that the Adobe Connect rooms will be opening very shortly. So I just need to give you some instructions. But again, thank you to Tilly and Charlotte for those amazing presentations. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of the day. So today, all of you will be either on our setting foundations or our broadening impact streams as we go through the day. And there will be times during the day where we come back together. There are some really exciting speakers and inspirational ideas, and we really hope this conference will be a chance for you to inspire and enthuse about the NEA. Although you will stay in the pathway you've selected today, we will send out the recordings and copies of all the resources for both pathways early next week. And we remind you that when you're joining your chosen pathway with Adobe Connect to select the app option, this will ensure a better viewing and audio experience for you throughout the whole of the e-conference. If you do have any challenges when you're joining today or any technical issues, if you email us at questions@field-studies-council.org, that's questions@field-studies-council.org. We can support you and we'll be able to help you get into the Adobe Connect rooms. Alternatively, you can, and when you're in the Adobe Connect rooms, if you're in there and you've got any issues, you can private message Dave or Janine as they'll be hosting the Adobe Connect rooms. At lunchtime today, between 12 and 1:30, we're running an unplanned unconference session. So this is where you as participants can drive the conference and you can share and discuss ideas all around the NEA and what you're doing this year. And the links for those sessions will be shared with you in the Adobe Connect rooms for the lunchtime session. And then also there'll be other ways you can invite and discuss topics that matter to you, and you can decide which of the unplanned sessions you wish to attend. So you can add your own spaces in that time as well. So lots of examples. So there might be a fieldwork FAQ Zoom that's already being offered within this unplanned unconference lunch break. What I would also like to say is please do rejoin us on the YouTube session at the last session of today. Nick Lapthorne is going to be hosting that session, and we'll be joined by Alan Kinder, who's the Chief Exec of the GA, who'll be having a special announcement. And Nick will also be giving you further information about the free sessions that we'll be offering to students next week, and also our new outreach and digital offers that we'll have this autumn for those who cannot attend any normal fieldwork experiences. So we hope you enjoyed the Fieldwork Conference. I hope you enjoyed the opening session this morning, and it's been a real pleasure to see some of the conversations going on the YouTube channel and to see some familiar faces. And we hope you have a great day. Thank you very much.